Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan Jones, and I'm going to be your instructor for Math 1340 College Algebra. There should be a lot of people watching this video because we actually are combining two different sections into one. So some of you are in section 512 and some of you are in 513. On your end, that's not really going to matter at all. That's something just more that I have to deal with, but we will have a giant class of currently 60 people. So you'll have a lot of classmates that you can contact to, form study groups and ask, questions on and things like that. So I will mention one aspect that is a little bit important for the different sections. If for whatever reason you need to use your course syllabus for anything, like transferring to another university or anything like that, you'll want to make sure that you grab the correct version of the syllabus, the one that says your actual section number. So, and we'll look at that in a little bit more. But right here, we are looking at the course homepage for our course in MyCourses. And I just kind of want to go through MyCourses a little bit, kind of give you a little virtual tour of it. But while I'm doing that, I'll also kind of talk about the course just in general, kind of what's expected of you, what's expected of me, what does your homework look like, what are you supposed to do on a weekly basis, what am I doing on a weekly basis, kind of things like that. So we'll start off right here on this course homepage, and you'll see there's two things, updates and announcements. I am in student view, and so because I'm not actually a student, it's telling me, hey, I haven't done this one quiz. We'll look at that in a moment, but you'll see updates for things like this, quizzes or things that you haven't done yet that you need to do. So, but announcements are things that I'm going to post for you, usually weekly, well, definitely weekly, but sometimes even more frequently than weekly. So make sure you are checking these announcements, ideally daily, at worst every other day, because I will post important info here, but I'll also sometimes post very time-sensitive things. Sometimes there's things that I need from you. I need you to take action on, and I'll post those right here in announcements. So make sure that you're checking these frequently. You are expected to check in on this course multiple times a week. Honestly, just like if this was an in-person course. If this was an in-person course and you had class 2 to 3 days a week, you're probably doing homework another 2 days a week. I mean, there's 5 days where you are engaging with material in an in-person class. Even though this is an online course, the same thing applies. So make sure that you are coming to our homepage nearly every day of the week, checking announcements, working on your homework, working on material, things like that. So look for announcements here. We'll basically just go through this top bar up here, and we'll go through these. Content is definitely the most important, but I do want to start with assignments and quizzes and just actually take a quick look at those, because there's actually not much that you're going to use there. So I just kind of want to get those out of the way really quickly. So assignments is a little bit confusing. It says assignments, but it's not actually assignments. Your homework and your quizzes and exams will be located in another place, which I will show you. But what we have here in this assignments tab is basically Dropbox folders for you to upload work for your exams. So for each of our 3 exams that you'll take, you will be required to handwrite, pencil and paper, your work for all the problems, just as if it was an in-person exam. And what you'll do is you'll take that work, you'll take photos of it, you'll combine those photos into a PDF, and you will upload that PDF right here into one of these 3 folders. Then I can go in and I can look in these folders, and I can basically grade your exam manually, as if it were an in-person exam. That way I can give you partial credit. Say you type the wrong answer in, or you forget to put a decimal place in the online exam, but on your work, your handwritten work, you clearly did the problem correctly, I'll give you full credit. But you have to have that work here in order to get any credit for the exam. So this work is important. So you'll upload that here in the assignments folder, basically just a Dropbox folder for you for your work. Let's click on quizzes. So we saw on the homepage that it says, hey, there's one quiz I haven't done. This is less of a quiz, and it is more of just a kind of like a survey, if you will, or like a poll. our exams will utilize a online proctoring software, but you have an option of not using that. This basically goes through the options that you have for how you will take your test. I'll touch on that a little bit more, but that's in quizzes, so a little bit confusing, a little bit misleading because it's not actually a quiz. And further, it's a little bit misleading because when I ever reference a quiz, I'm not talking about here. I'm not talking about the quiz list. I'm not talking about the quizzes tab in MyCourses. I'm talking about actual quizzes that have on math content. And we'll see that in a little bit. But just making that clear that this right here is not really ever referenced unless I say proctored testing form. So let's go into content and let's take a look at what this shows us here and what we have. So on the left side here, you can see that we have we have modules, and there's a whole bunch of modules here, most of which are just the 10 weeks of our course. So each week has its own module, but there's also some other welcome modules and things like that. And just looking through, some of the beginning of these, I'll let you click through these things on your own, but welcome modules just to get you associated with the course, the schedule, the syllabus, things like that. You can see that I have 2 different syllabi. They're the exact same. The only difference is the section number. So you would really only care about this if you were submitting a syllabus officially for whatever reason. You'd want to make sure you had the right one. MML links. So this is My Math Lab. This is where where most of your homework and deliverables will be. I'll click on this in a little bit once we've kind of talked a bit more about what's expected of you in here, but we will look at this and see what it looks like. But this is our main place for your online homework. Exam proctoring with HonorLock. Again, I will touch on this in a little bit more detail, but this module has a whole bunch of info on basically how you're going to take your exams, what the heck HonorLock actually is, and all that stuff. And then as you can see, we get into weekly modules. There are 10 of them. Then there's a handful of things at the bottom. I'll let you click on e-text chapters. That's our e-textbook. That's probably important too. But let's take a look at just week 1 right here, and let's see what this looks like. So this weekly module, as you can see, I show you the sections, I show you the dates, I give you a little description of what math topics we're going to cover that week, but then I also list out the assignments for that week and their due dates. I'll touch on this in a second, a little bit more detail, but below this you can see there's some lecture videos for you to watch. There's a link to your homework assignments. These are currently not active links, but they will be active links when we are in the appropriate week. But these are discussion topics. Again, we'll touch on these. I'm just kind of showing you an overview of what's expected of you and what these weekly modules look like. So if you know your dates really well, you will notice that these due dates that I'm highlighting right here are actually on a Thursday and a Monday. And this brings me to our typical weekly schedule. So while normally weeks start on Monday, in our course, when I talk about a week, week number 1, week number 2, week number 3, our weeks start on Tuesday and they end on Monday. Now, there are some exceptions to that. There are some weeks that start on a Monday. There's some weeks that end on a Sunday. As a matter of fact, the last day of the course is on a Sunday. And that actually means our final exam is due on a Sunday, which is a little weird. But for the most part, our weeks are Tuesday to Monday, and we have a midweek deadline of Thursday. The reason I do that is to sort of force you to attend the course, right? To check in and do a little bit of work multiple times throughout the week, and before Thursday, right? Because that's when your midweek deadline is. So, if I'll go click on a random week here. Let's click on week 4. You can see the sections. You can see what we're covering. And assignments, you can see 2 dates and a chunk of assignments for each. This due date is a Thursday, the 27th of March, and this is a Monday, the 31st of March. And within each of these, you have, I'm going to go ahead and click on a different week. This is a little bit more normal. With these midweek due dates and end of week due dates, it's sort of split into 2 things. So the midweek due date includes a discussion post. So this is going to be A discussion, if you've had those before in courses, then you're familiar with what that is. I'll touch on this a little bit more, but you have to do a discussion post midweek by Thursday. And then you'll see by the end of the week, you have to do a discussion reply. And again, we'll touch on these more in detail. But then, going back midweek by Thursday, you have to watch some lecture videos and you have to do these RA assignments. These are reading assessments. They're kind of like preliminary assessments, like pre-homework questions, if you will. And you have to do those by Thursday, but then you have to do your homeworks and then your quiz by the end of the week on Monday. And so you can see each section has a lecture video, a reading assessment, and a homework. And then there's a weekly quiz that covers all of the sections. This quiz, you have to do the reading assessments before you do the quiz. MyMathLab, the online homework software, it will not let you do the quiz without doing these reading assessments. So, got to do that. And yeah, we have all the stuff below here. And you'd click on MyMathLab to access all of these MML assignments. So, a good kind of overview of what our assignments are and what our weekly schedule looks like. Again, emphasizing usually Tuesday to Monday, but not always. As a matter of fact, this is a little unfortunate, but it's the way the schedule works out. 2 of our exams, exam 1 and the final exam, are due on Sundays. That's because of spring break, and the last day of the course is a Sunday. And so that very important, right? Because I don't want you to think that they're due on Monday like normal, and then they're due on Sunday and you miss the exam. So, wonderful. So with this, let's go ahead and let's dive a little bit deeper on these discussion posts and these MML assignments, and let's kind of see what they are. So discussions, you can see up at the very top here, they're accessible via this tab, and I'll click on that in a moment, but I also want you to notice that you can see the discussion topic right here in the weekly module as well. So you can go to either location, it doesn't matter, but you can see it either way. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to get out of student view, which is what I was in, and we're going to click on discussions here so that we can actually see these. So discussions, you got some general discussions here that these aren't due or assignments or anything. They're just if you want to, if you have questions or if you want to read some info about these things. But when we get into the actual week to week discussions, let's scroll down. You can see there's discussions for week 1, week 2, week 3. And let's kind of hone in right here. So week 3, you can see we have dates for it. We have this discussion post, growth versus fixed mindset. Usually what these discussions entail is they entail watching some short videos, maybe reading a short article, something like that. Maybe even like posting a problem that you've done. The directions are all very explicitly explained in each discussion post. But then after you watch these videos or read these articles or do whatever you're instructed to do, you're required to make a post by Thursday of the week. And again, I give you instructions on kind of what I want your post to entail. Usually it's like you responding to these videos and articles and talking about, what you learned from them. And then after you've made that post, and after everybody's made that post, right, by Thursday, now from, whenever you want before Monday, you have to reply to another student's post. And so you'll reply to their post, saying something meaningful, supportive, helpful, talking about, something you learned from their post, or, commenting on something unique that they talked about. Just doing something that is a little bit more than just, hey, your post is great, thanks. I want to try to facilitate communication between everybody. I want you all to be able to use these discussions as a learning opportunity, and that really only happens if everybody's using them appropriately and if everybody's talking with one another and communicating and sharing ideas and things like that. So make sure that you're being make sure you're putting in more than the bare minimum effort on these discussion posts, because I do think that it can be very fruitful in the end. As you can see right here, there's a homework associated with this discussion post, so that's fun. That doesn't always happen, and heck, Sometimes you don't even have to reply, right? I don't require that on sometimes, but yeah, we have a whole bunch of these discussions. You can see every week has one. I think there might be some weeks that don't, but yeah, right here, read these articles, make a post, reply by Monday. So discussions, you'll have to do that weekly. You can access them right here in the discussions tab at the top or within each weekly module that we saw. And so that is one of your deliverables, if you will, that you have. Let's go ahead and click on MML links because this is actually, My Math Lab is the location, the website, where you will do all of your other deliverables other than discussion post. We've got a whole bunch of links here, things like this. And then even if I scroll all the way down, you can see the e-text chapters module. I won't click on that now, but that just takes you to the e-text and you can read your textbook, right? Course home is probably the primary thing that you're going to click on. Go ahead and click on that here and we'll take a look at it. This will look a little bit different in this video because I'm in instructor view versus you would be in student view. But I like this instructor view because it shows the assignments really well. So as you can see, there is a long list of assignments. I can just keep scrolling and it shows all the assignments right here. But you can hopefully see a very simple pattern to these. Every section has a reading assessment and a homework. And that reading assessment is due on the Thursday of the week, and the homework is due on the Monday of the week. Again, there's exceptions to this, but that's typically how it goes. And so I can keep scrolling down and, I could just look at a random one. Let's look at 3.4 RA. Look, it starts on the 11th, ends on the 13th. Is due on the 13th, and the homework starts on the 11th and is due on the 16th. And so on and so forth. This keeps going. You occasionally have an extra reading assessment associated with one of the discussion posts. But we just keep doing this over and over. If I keep scrolling down, you can then see here's all of our 9 weekly quizzes. They start at the beginning of the week. They end at the end of the week. There's exam reviews. These are completely optional. They're not graded. They are graded, but they don't count as a part of your grade. So you can do these at any moment in time that you want, but they're just good reviews for the exams. And then you have the exams themselves, and the dates are listed, and you have to take the exams according to those dates. And there we go. So this is My Math Lab. This is what this is where almost all of your deliverables, where all of your homework, where all of your stuff that you're going to do takes place. The only thing outside is discussion posts. So My Math Lab is great. That's good. I will note that I don't recommend looking at the grade book in My Math Lab. I recommend clicking here on grades and looking at the MyCourses grade book. That's much more official, if you will. So yeah. I think one of the last things that we'll talk about before I kind of do a quick recap of the whole video, just like a TLDR, let's look at this exam proctoring with HonorLock. So HonorLock is a online proctoring software. It's a virtual proctoring software. And basically what it does is you go into HonorLock. There's a Google Chrome extension rather, but you have the HonorLock Chrome extension enabled, and you come here to your exams. You click on the HonorLock dashboard, and boom, HonorLock enables, and it has you go through a set of steps such as close out all of your browser tabs, make sure you don't have 2 monitors enabled, make sure your webcam is on, things like that, to basically proctor you virtually for the exam. And then it takes you into the exam, you take the exam, and there you go. You just get to take the exam in the nice comfort of your own home. And you don't have to, worry about taking the test, at a testing center, and, scheduling an appointment. You don't have to do any of that stuff. That being said, I know that some people don't like the idea of using a software like HonorLock. And so if you wish to, you can take your test in person at one of the Front Range testing centers. I will say it is a bit more involved and a bit more cumbersome to take the test in person. So I recommend using HonorLock. I've had a lot of students who have taken the test in person, they've chosen option 2 here, and they've come back and said, you know what, that was kind of a lot to deal with. I'd rather just use HonorLock. So that my recommendation is to use HonorLock. I think it's easier both on my end and on your end, but you are 100% not required to do that. If you don't want to use HonorLock, if you want to take your test in person and be proctored by, the testing center, you are more than welcome to do that. If you choose to do that, I ask that you contact me as early as you can. And actually, I'll even say, if you contact me, the day that an exam is due, or even a day or two before an exam is due, and you say, hey, I want to take the test at the testing center, I'm going to have to tell you, I'm sorry, we can't, because there's just not enough time to set that up. So we do need some time to set up that testing center there. That's actually, if I go back to quizzes and we look here at the proctored testing form, that's what this covers. So this is a form where you can tell me which method you want to use for your exams. But again, I'll emphasize, if you choose to utilize the testing center, please email me as well as filling out this form, because I want to get that started that process started as quickly as possible. So we have this here. I can't emphasize this enough. This right here, HonorLock dashboard, is what you will click on to take your exams. It's a little bit misleading because you would think that you would go into MyMathLab and scroll down and click on exam 1 and take it, but that is not where you go. You have to go through the HonorLock dashboard. So, whole bunch of FAQs and examples of how your camera should look, and helpful links, and things like that for you to look at here. That's all in there. I'll let you click through those, but that's what your exams will look like. Not forgetting that you do have to upload your handwritten work in these assignment Dropbox folders right here. So that is a good overview of our course. To give a little quick, kind of bullet point overview of all of this. We've got our weeks running from Tuesday to Monday, usually. Sometimes they're not, though. And with that, there's a midweek deadline of Thursday, most of the time. And there is a end of the week deadline at the end of the week, again, usually on a Monday. With these deadlines, you have discussion posts that you have to do in MyCourses. You got to click on discussions up here to access those. But you also have MyMathLab assignments. That's where the bulk of your assignments are. And in there, you have reading assessments that you have to do. You have homeworks that you have to do, and you have a weekly quiz that you have to do. And your exams are also in there as well, but your exams are done via HonorLock. So you will click on this module and then click on the HonorLock dashboard, and then you follow all the steps. With that, with the MyMathLab assignments, you can obviously do your assignments in MyMathLab, but you can also look at the e-text down here in this module, and you can view the e-textbook. There's even things like study plans that it sets up for you, giving you practice problems and things like that. Great stuff there. Each of our weekly modules has links to all of these things that I'm talking about. It has links to extra lecture videos that you can watch, that you should watch. It has the discussions put in there kind of natively, just right in the weekly module. So you can just scroll down and do everything in the weekly module, and then you'll be good. There's some other things down here at the bottom, other modules, how-to videos, need math help, links for helpful things. I'll let you look at those yourself. But honestly, that is a pretty good overview of our course. The way that I always like to end these videos is to mention that even though this is an online course, I really want to stress that I still am your teacher. I still am the person that knows this material, that can help you with this material, that can help you with administrative things in navigating the course. I can help you, talk about what math courses you might want to take in the future, after this course. I just really want to emphasize that even though this isn't an in-person class, I am still very much available to meet with you, to help you, to talk about content, to help you understand the material. I hear a lot of students that think that because it's an online course that they have to teach themselves. And while there is a bit of impetus on you to access the material, it is not up to you to teach yourself this material. It is still my job, and even though we don't have in-person lectures, I am still readily available for you to help you, right, learn this material. So don't hesitate to reach out to me. My email is ryan.jones@frontrange.edu. That's posted in the syllabus. It's posted in a handful of places. But please utilize me as a resource. So, all right, I think that is it. Hopefully the video wasn't too long. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me. And I hope you're excited for the semester like I am, and I hope that you enjoy the course.